Come one, come all, Tenez says. It is Thursday, August 26th of 2021, and you're tuned in to Nez Says, a place where musicians can get together and inspire each other to play more guitar. And as always, with me is Ty Price and Ben Coombs. How you guys doing?
Hey, Dave. I'm good. How you doing?
Awesome.
Good to see you, Ben. Good to see you.
Wow. Good to see both you cats. You know, I've been looking forward to this all week. And what can I say? You know, Sir David of the Nesdall and Super Guy tie-dyed. You know, it's perfect. You know, I'm going to get into roll call here because chat's just, it's going by at like Mach 2.3. And so I've got to ease on it. But because
going pretty quick.
Everybody's jumping in. We got Gear Junkie 35, some guy named Ty Price, never heard of him. Joe Metalhead Hervey 84, Marxo's Images, the Hitman Dwight Bailey, Tabinin and One, Chad Tobin, part of the Ashley Mafia. He knows what I'm talking about. Peter K, great to see Peter K in here. Terry's 3Gs, moderator to the stars and us. Yes, slumming it tonight. Rob Baker, New Jersey, of New Jersey. No, he got rid of the of. All right. He's more streamlined now, I guess. Sure. Guitar Man 45. Dan of New Jersey with hyphens and everything. Randy Crooks is here, and thanks, Randy, very much for the super chat to start things off. We'll put that.
Thank you, Randy.
Jar. Keeps the lights on and the hamster running in the wheel that keeps our internet going.
Well, yes.
And who else do we have in here? Thomas Santiago, Charles 75N. They were hanging out in here pre-show. Love to Rock is in here. Let's get down to the bottom real quick. Kurt 5150 caught some of his show last night before he decided to just mod from the sidelines there on celebrating over on our good friend Dave Andrew out of New Zealand, the British Electric Blues and 5150 show, celebrating his 666 subs with himself at Simon Hosford and Brad Cook and Kurt. It was great.
Awesome.
Right on. Cool.
Hey, Carl Guitar. This is Long Island checking in.
Real quick, a special shout out to Other Left. Other Left is here. I think he's brand new for us. So welcome.
He's a fellow Canuck with guitars. He's up from Port Perry Way. Gino's here. I don't want to leave out Gino.
Tim Thomas.
Yeah.
My man Dwight Bailey is here. It's always good to see Dwight.
All kinds of folks tuning in tonight. This is great. Bam. You know what it is? I think security is working the check-in better, Ty, because usually people were dipping in one or two at a time, but they're just like, screw it, let's open all the doors, and they're all just flooding in. It's general admission.
I like
Jimmy
Carr.
Carr.
Hey, Jimmy Carr.
Jimmy Carr. Hey, Carl GTR. I'm also in Long Island, so welcome, buddy.
Yeah,
Joe Hervey's cool. Long Island here.
Yeah.
When Dave brings up the demographics of the channel, just Long Island's just bright blue. Just and then...
Well, we're so glad that all of you are here tonight, and it's great to see so many of you every single week. Terry, 3Gs, thanks, man. We're
going to talk guitars.
For being with us every week, and all of you guys, Kurt and Dwight and Randy and Thomas. Thank you guys so much. Y'all are always here. Gear Junkie's always here. It's always good to see y'all on Thursdays.
Oh, we got a question already. Any thoughts on the Quad Cortex?
Yes. Lots of them.
64. Greetings from Halifax. Cool. East Coaster. Nice. Quad Cortex, quite the piece of gear.
Very nice piece of gear.
Yeah. Like what? I'm trying to... I don't want to just compare it to the Helix, but it's in that kind of vein, but it's got its own awesomeness to it in a different way. Pete Thorne's been playing with one for a while, and he's been really digging it to the point of he's thinking about using it on some flying stuff. So,
yeah, you know, I am still using a Kemper for those types of things, but I'm interested in the Quad Cortex just because it's smaller, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess my questions would be, A, am I going to get one? And B, if so, how am I going to how am I going to use it? So, but I'm interested.
I want
Very
to
interested.
special shout out. Six String Brian was maybe still is in the hospital. He had some work done. You know, we had to go on the bench for some repairs, I guess. So positive vibes. Hope you're doing well, buddy.
Yeah, man. Get well soon.
Maybe he was just in for his annual setup. I don't know.
You know, we're talking about digital amplification.
Yes.
I'm actually thinking of getting the Headrush MX5. Have you guys seen that yet?
I have. I mean, that is definitely the right size. And the thing, I don't have a ton of experience using a Headrush, but they do have a Plexi model inside that unit. That's pretty brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard a demo of it, and I'm really, really impressed. I mean, Pete Thorne did a demo of it. It's extremely impressive.
It's the Headrush. Is that the unit that Tracy Guns also uses?
It is.
Yes. Also, Steve Brown from Trickster.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he uses one as well. Yeah.
One of my
Girl Guitar says Gene Baker uses a Headrush.
One of my close friends, who was my boss at Guitar Center when I worked there, he's a rep for Headrush on the West Coast, and oh my God, man, I'm super impressed with that with the Headrush stuff.
Tim says, "What do you guys think of the new Gibson Tony Iommi for $2,400?"
I haven't actually seen it.
I haven't seen it either.
That's a decent price point for a signature guitar.
Well, I think it's Gibson USA. I don't think it's custom shop.
Yeah. Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, at that price point, and I'd imagine it probably has some kind of treble bleed circuit in it, because I believe that was a thing that Tony Iommi used quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Chad.
Hey, Chad.
Six String Brian is here.
Chad's in Maui. I mean, he's living
styling and profiling.
He is living the charmed life this week.
He is.
I hope you have a great vacation, Chad.
He deserves it, though.
Enjoy paradise. Trouble booster. Thank you. That's what I meant. When I say treble bleed, I generally mean treble booster, but I don't always. New Dave Mustangs look pretty cool. Yeah, and did you guys see the new Wino, the Jerry Cantrell?
Yeah.
Did, indeed.
That was sweet.
You know, it's funny that you should mention that guitar. I'm sure it's fantastic. I mean, it's a custom shop guitar now. But when I worked at Guitar Center, and
it's a limited custom shop.
It is.
And it looks like they're blueprinting what they did with the Adam Jones and the Slash Brazilian. It kind of looks like that's going to be the approach for this Jerry model.
The full-on nicks and scratches and wear and yep.
So I remember working at both Manny's and Guitar Center, and we used to get in very frequently. People would sell us wine red Les Paul customs,
right?
And man, I used to think, man, wine red, huh? I mean, black is the way to go, or white probably, but wine red. But for one reason or another, when I look at the Cantrell guitar, it's like a different guitar to me. It's so cool. It is so cool.
I think
for a guy that didn't like the wine red. I'm sorry.
Like a red wine, it needs to age a bit, and I think that's what it is, because with that more aged binding, red and white, although unless it's the Canadian flag, but red with a cream or wine with a cream, that aged, that starts looking sweet.
Oh, it says
Dan loves wine red Gibsons.
Yeah, I do too. I like them. I think they're pretty cool.
Yes, red wine and gold hardware, Joe. Nice combo.
What kind of
was the 76 wine red custom?
What kind of pickups are in Jerry's Gibson model?
I don't know.
That's a good question. By the way, it looked at with the bridge being uncovered, I would imagine maybe a Seymour Duncan in there, and then did he use the neck pickup a whole lot?
I actually thought Jerry was using Motor City pickups.
Maybe
Now, I thought he was using like second-degree black belts or something. Now,
maybe he is.
Well, there's a
It's like-
used one on Reverb now for $13,000.
Oh, that's it. Oh, well.
well, that would be in line with what the Brazilian Slash was 15, I want to say, and then I think Adam's guitar was 14,000. So there you go, kids. If you save your pennies, you too can have a.
Randy Crooks is texting me asking if any of us have experience with this Ibanez. So I'm going to show you this Ibanez. Come on, focus. Closer.
That is like an AZ model. I believe it's called an AZ.
Oh, there we are.
I know that Larry Mitchell has a custom shop version of that in amber with a tremolo and a Roland like GK2A built into it.
Okay, nice. It does have their Gibraltar style bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Which you can kind of see there, even though it's not in focus.
Cool looking guitar.
They're good guitars. They are very good guitars.
Very nice.
I like the color.
I like the way the strings basically go straight through. There's a slight break, very slight, which is fine with me because you want a little bit of tension, not too much. I'm fine.
Hey, Terry says that the Tony Iommi has a single wrap tail. I actually really like single wrap tails.
Me too.
I like them a lot. I have an old PRS single cut with a single wrap tail. God, that guitar is really old at this point.
So it looks like stock pickups in the Cantrell guitar, according to Terry. 490R and 498T pickups with gold cover on the neck and the exposed coils on the bridge. Also a Fishman Power Bridge piezo or piezo, depending on tomato, equipped in the bridge. And hello, Billy Baloney and Mitch.
Hey, Billy. Hey, Mitch.
Hey, Mitch. How are you?
And Quentin James.
Quentin James.
Hey,
Quentin.
I like the idea of the piezo. Yeah, I'm going with piezo.
Yeah,
I do too.
Now.
So can you stereo out with that guitar if it has
It's
a
two outputs.
piezo?
I think it's two output jacks in Larry's guitar. Now, I don't think that's on the stock model. I think that's just Larry's guitar. But I don't think.
I thought we were talking about Tony Iommi's guitar.
I thought we were talking about Jerry Cantrell's guitar.
Well, we all have our shit together.
Well, that's a first on this channel. I thought I was talking about this. Well,
Oh, wait a minute. So Jerry's Les Paul has a piezo.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's cool.
That's very cool.
Very cool.
So there was a Slash signature model coming out of the Velvet Revolver days that also had a piezo in it.
Nice.
So Chad's into the piezo.
Yeah, it's just a single
in the Petrucci Majesty model. I was playing on a JP 15. I think that's the model number that I have last week that has a piezo in it, and it's pretty remarkable. With a hint of delay and chorus on that, it's remarkable.
Peter K says, say hello to his friend Bruce. So hello, Bruce.
Hello, Bruce.
Hey, Bruce. Glad you're here, man.
Awesome. Terry put a link to the Cantrell guitar in the chat.
For all of you that are going to
There's Bruce.
Run out and
Hello,
get
Bruce. He has a PRS Core P22 with the piezo or piezo, and he loves it.
Yeah, Chad, but your JP16 has a Floyd on it.
Yeah, the 16 has a Floyd.
You traded the piezo for the Floyd?
Has anyone ever tried doing both?
I've seen Floyds with piezos in it.
Have you?
Yep.
That'd be a text nightmare.
I like the
Yeah.
JP16. I like the JP guitars that Music Man makes. I really like them. You know, when I first grabbed it, my immediate reaction to how thin the neck is was, whoa, this is a really thin neck. But it's a very, very comfortable guitar to play without a doubt. Really great guitars.
Peter Chaos, how many guitars do you really need?
Just one more.
One more.
Yeah. I'll let you know when I hit the number. I haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah.
It was a pretty heavy week this week, guys. You know, sporting my Stones T-shirt.
Yes,
that was
we should
heavy
definitely
news.
discuss that. Yes, passing away at the age of 80 years old or 80 years young. One of the best backbeat drummers I've ever heard, and I don't think any of us have ever heard. Mr. Charlie Watts passed away. So
it's terrible.
Yeah. You know, we knew he wasn't feeling well because he didn't come out on the leg of the tour. But like I kind of said to Dave off air, that seems to be kind of Charlie's way. You know, I'm not quite feeling up to it, gents. Don't worry about me. Carry on.
You know, not to make it lighthearted, because I mean it's heavy. This is really heavy. But wouldn't it be cool if Ringo and Paul McCartney joined the Stones now?
Right. Then they can have a full-time bass player again. Because they've been looking for a while now. Just that would be cool. The ultimate super group. That'd be a hell of a show too.
I think it would be. I think it would be a hell of a show. But you know, not to downplay the fact that Charlie Watts passed away. I mean, I love Charlie. I'm not big on drummers to begin with. I think, you know, a good drummer is worth a bazillion dollars. But Charlie was really one of those really amazing, understated drummers. He just really was. He's one of those drummers that you don't even really listen to him, and that's what makes him so good, because he's just right there all the time.
Right there.
Just right there.
Do you remember? Can you remember the first time you heard the Rolling Stones?
I can. For me, it was 1982. It was would start me up on it. That record.
Tattoo You.
Tattoo You. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Tattoo You. I got the record because I heard "Start Me Up." That was the first Rolling Stones record I had, and there were so many great songs that I mean on that whole record that never really got the time of day. I mean, Little TNA. Oh my God! And I didn't even know that at the time. I didn't know that was Keith Richards singing. You know, I just thought it was Mick with a different. I don't know. I didn't know what I thought back then.
Ben, do you remember the first time you heard the Stones?
Dude, the Stones were played in my household from the time I was born. You know, both my parents were Stones fans, early Stones. Clean cut Mick. My mom had a crush on Mick, like a lot of women of her generation did. You know, and Dad thought they were a really cool blues band. You know, and yeah, I just remember always. But what I was going to save to say on air, but I remember, like, for my generation, I'm 47. So I entered high school in the fall of 88. And there's a handful of times when I was in high school, Ty, that the day after a concert, when it's a sea of concert shirts in the high school.
Yep.
Because generally, once a year, maybe somebody, you know, gets a parent to rent a school bus or something, you know, and a group of kids take the 100-mile trek up to the city and go see a concert. The Steel Wheels tour.
Yeah,
it was the first time. Well, one of the first times where the Stones spent a good month in Toronto rehearsing for that tour. It was their big. This is their comeback after a few years off.
First tour that I saw them. Yeah, with Steel Wheels.
And, well, for an entire generation, unless you saw them in '82, kind of thing. And I just remember there kids, didn't matter if you're a pop fan, rock fan, the Stones, 3 school buses alone went up from our high school. And
That's crazy.
the next day, it was literally steel wheel, steel wheel, steel wheel. Everybody had the same T-shirt.
The white shirt with the black sleeves.
No, actually, I think no. It was they were one of the first tour shirts that was just a T-shirt before, and not a jersey. You know, a baseball jersey or softball jersey style tour shirt. We never called them jerseys around. It was always that was a tour shirt, right? Because unless it had sleeve, that was a real tour shirt.
Listen, the Stones were first at all types of marketing. You know, I mean, they were the first to experiment with all types of cool packaging and special editions and T-shirts and merchandise.
They did a pay-per-view. Who else does a pay-per-view? You know, we're just a band that's going to throw a concert. We're going to do a worldwide pay-per-view. What? Who does that? You know, Live Aid does that. You know, the Freddie Mercury tribute a few years later after, you know, Steel Wheel. But boom, you know, they're doing huge stuff like that. And that was a huge tour, and that really set the mark going forward for, it was like we had A-level tours, and then all of a sudden they said, well, hold our beer. You know, we're going huge, where we're going to have 2 stages because they have to leapfrog each other. It's just, okay, sure, you know.
Look,
and
the Rolling Stones,
huge.
Their stages, the Rolling Stones stages, have always been amazing. They have a huge runway every tour. They have a humongous runway, and then they have a small stage where in the middle of their set, they have a smaller drum kit, 2 little tweed amps, a small bass rig, and they play in the audience with the audience. I mean, how cool is that?
Mm-hmm.
That's where they play most of their biggest hits, right in the middle of the audience. It's incredible.
Do you remember, Steel Wheels, their TV special was that first time where they tried 3D on TV, and everybody had to have those glasses because they were going to do, and it was like Start Me Up was in 3D.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm telling you, they were the first on a lot of things. You know, the first thing I remember about the Stones, Ben, same with you. My mother had an amazing record collection, so we were always listening to music in our house, and the Stones were around as long as I can remember it playing on the stereo in the living room, right? But some of the earliest songs I remember, you know, are probably from like It's Only Rock and Roll. You know that record? Probably that period of time, like Ain't Too Proud to Beg and Dance Little Sister. And
I was going to say, we had like our first 3 years, 3, maybe 4, basically when they still had short hair. You know, Brian Jones was in the band.
Mick Taylor was on that record though, right, Dave? Was Mick Taylor on It's Only Rock and Roll?
Yes.
Yeah.
When Brian Jones was in the band, that was considered long hair.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Right. Exactly.
So, we've got some people weighing in. Let's hear their first. Let's hear what some of these guys are saying right here. Joe Hervey giving the thumbs up for Charlie being a great pocket guy. Randy Satisfaction was early for him. Same with Charles. Early for him. Reel to Reel for Dan. Charles S. bought the 45 of Honky Tonk. That's cool, man. I wish I had a 45 of Honky Tonk Women. Steel Wheels 3D TV performance. Amanda remembers that.
Yeah.
And man, a lot of people are remembering those 3D glasses.
Well, yeah, other left, it was Becker's. That was like a 7-Eleven. They were the chain that had the glasses that you had to go get.
Oh, Guitar Man saw him for the first time, 78.
Nice.
I know. That's killer.
My sister saw the Stones at Starstock.
Oh, it's like Peter was hanging out in my house. I mean, when he was a kid, it was the Stones, Zeppelin, Jethro Tull, and Deep Purple. I'm a huge Deep Purple fan. We can talk Purple all night.
I keep forgetting my sister went to the Starstock. If everyone remembers when during the Stars epidemic, we had that huge concert north of Toronto. And the headliners was what? AC/DC, the Stones, and Bryan Adams.
Wow.
You know,
what a bill.
But it was an all day. I can't even remember who all was on it. And it was like 600,000. It was ridiculous. Like by Canadian standards, we had an American size Woodstock, but That doesn't happen in Canada because we just don't have enough people. Like literally everybody showed up. I didn't go. I had to work. My sister went though.
I've never been to a Stone show. I must say, and there's no way I can make one now. I mean, tickets are way too expensive.
Same.
I'm hoping to see him at the end of September in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm hoping that this virus will sit on the sidelines.
Rush and
and
BTO were also on that same show,
and we can all go see that show safely. Well, favorite Stones record, favorite Stones album, Dave.
Sticky Fingers.
Oh yeah, man, that's a good one. You know, there is a Heather and I, my wife and I, were flipping through watching some old Stones footage on Tuesday night, and on Amazon Prime there was a show that they did. I want to say in 2015 in Hollywood, California, and they did the entire Sticky Fingers record, and that's on Amazon Prime.
Exile on Main Street, another great
might
record.
be my favorite.
That's a great one, man. That's
It's a toss-up for me. It's because there's 2 to 3 heartfelt tracks on every album. And I'll say the only drawback to the Stones for me was I loved all their stuff, but there was only usually 3 super duper in my heart songs per album. Whereas a few other bands could get 4 or 5 on an album, but those 3 or 4 are heads above everything else that I ever listened to or been influenced by, or it's just complete game changers, which is fine with me, considering I know the way that Keith was carrying on, as we all know, for the better part of a quarter century. I was like, I'll take it.
Well,
go ahead.
Exile on Main Street is your favorite, Ben?
I'd say so, yeah.
I'm going to kind of go off the beaten path a little bit. I mean, my favorite would be Some Girls. I remember it was the first Stones record that I ever bought with my own money, even though it had been out for a while. I think I bought it somewhere around 1980, 81, and that record probably came out 77, 78, somewhere in that neighborhood probably.
Ooh,
but
Let It Bleed was a good one too, Bruce Brooks. Damn.
Oh yeah, Let It Bleed, I made it. But Some Girls for me, Miss You, When the Whip Comes Down, Respectable, Shattered, man, learned how to.
Shattered.
I remember that was one of the first songs I ever learned how to play on guitar.
Sorry, I just think for the last
Beast of Burdens on that record
he
too.
always tells us, I just need a telly plugged into a crank tweed. Really? Listen to Ty's favorite album. There's a lot of chorus pedal on that, guys. Whatever, Keith. You ran a pedal board at one time. You had a fuzz. You had a chorus. That constitutes a mini board, anyways.
Oh, Randy's got Goat's Head Soup. I remember as a kid, I loved that album cover. I remember sitting on the floor with that album cover when I was a little kid. Yeah, I loved that record. Guitar Man 45, he wants to talk Purple too. That's awesome. Back together in the 80s for the Perfect Strangers tour. Saw them 4 days straight. Man, all 4 shows sold out. That's amazing. I did not see them on that tour, but that is one of my favorite Deep Purple records, that Perfect Strangers record. I thought it was perfect.
Has there been a better, other than Steel Wheels, a comeback album in a way, right? Like band takes a hiatus. A lot of bands, they never really recapture that whole thing. But Deep Purple, when they came back in the 80s, I was like, holy crap. Like, you guys are on it.
Well, Ben, that's really interesting that you brought that up. I would say
Aerosmith.
Yeah,
Aerosmith. Yeah, they had a great second career.
Aerosmith's Permanent Vacation was a huge comeback record. Certainly Perfect Strangers. I had another one. Real quick.
So definitely, Steel Wheels. I'll even throw Neil Young with Harvest Gold.
Hey, Bruce, Child in Time.
Harvest Moon.
Harvest Moon's great. Bruce brings up Child in Time. I love that song by Deep Purple. Do they still perform that live? I mean, can can Ian Gillan still sing that song live? That's a pretty incredible vocal on that song. Guitar Man 45 says the only time he saw Blackmore in action. I saw Blackmore with Rainbow.
How about Joey Lynn Turner? Oh my God! One of the best vocals on the planet.
He's pretty great. He's
Lives
pretty great.
here.
He did one record with Purple. Yeah, did he do?
Hey, BV, salute
one
on me.
Hey,
one record
BV.
with Purple. Hey, BV, good to see you, man.
BV's got the coffee on the go tonight.
Yeah, cheers, coffee here as well.
I don't have any.
Come taste the band, Peter. I love that record. I love that record
Boland.
too. I think the Tommy Boland era is often overlooked in Purple history. Randy Byrne is probably my record. Randy brings up Byrne. That period of Purple is probably my favorite period. The Byrne and the Stormbringer records are probably my favorite records.
Good to see Janice here.
Hey, Janice, I watched your video that you posted. That was great.
Yeah, the Eagles' hell freezes over. But did they actually have a hit off that? Like, I remember they had a single, but was it really a hit?
I don't think any of them were
like
hits.
Them getting back together was a big deal, but
yeah,
you know what I mean? That was the bigger deal than the album.
I got to tell you, I this may be sacrilege, but I always loved the Eagles, but I really love them now with Vince Gill. I really love that band.
Nothing wrong with that.
Do you like them better with Vince Gill than you did with Glenn Frey?
I mean,
because you said I really love them now, so you like them better.
I love them as a band, yeah, because although Glenn Frey was a major voice in the band, and he will be missed,
a Hall of Famer.
He was not a hell of a guitar player.
No, he was just songwriter, singer, arranger.
I get it. Look, listen, I told you I was going to get a lot of shit for what I just said, but I'm going to hold to it. I love Vince Gill, so I think Vince Gill is, and also Glenn Frey's son, who actually looks like Glenn Frey when he was younger.
Yeah.
Hair
and mustache.
It's too bad that Glenn had to pass away because he passed away way too young.
Yes.
And I'll requalify with this with saying I always loved the Eagles. Always.
Yeah. I mean,
but I think as a band right now, they're incredible. They're incredible. You got Don Henley out in front playing guitar most of the night or just singing, and then a real drummer in the background. So as a band, I think they're better now than they ever were in the 70s. As songwriters, they're always going to be the Eagles.
Look, I love Vince Gill. I think he's a great choice to bring in so that the Eagles can continue. I don't know that it is fair to hold him in the same regard as.
Well, they brought in an all-star replacement. That's the thing.
Well, that's your opinion. It's only my opinion. I'm not stating fact. I'm just saying I like them just as much or more now than I did back then. It's the same songs. They have not come out with anything new, so it's the same songs. Most of the
get over it. That was the single. Thank you, Randy.
Stuart Smith. How about Stuart Smith playing guitar and playing all of Don Felder's parts as well as Don Felder does?
Yeah, I'd rather see Don Felder in the Eagles than Stuart Smith. I would rather see Glenn Frey in the Eagles than Vince Gill.
Okay.
Sorry, Vince.
I respect that. I respect it.
I love Vince Gill. I mean, he's
great.
I
could take the heat off Dave. I'd rather see Joe Walsh solo.
Well, the James Gang. I'd love to go see the James Gang. But I
would like to see Joe Walsh solo with Tom Bukovac playing guitar.
Oh, forget it. Yeah. Hell, I'd like to see Ann Wilson with Tom Bukovac playing guitar. I had a chance to. I didn't know they were 15 minutes away last Tuesday.
Dang.
Guitar Man says, "Do you know that Ingve has a son that plays guitar?" I do. Is he really good? He probably is amazing. Hey, listen, talking about the Eagles and the comeback. I remember when that tour happened in the early '90s, and I remember how excited I was that was going to happen, and it was going to be a chance for me to actually see the Eagles. I had already seen Henley at that point. I was super excited about it, and I remember that being the first concert when I choked on ticket prices. You know, like, holy smoke, they're charging how much? Because I think it was like $100 at the time, right? Which is nothing in today's.
That's all of a sudden. Then the Stones for Voodoo Lounge, they raised their ticket price. They're like, well,
I remember that. I remember that, Ben, because I saw Voodoo Lounge was the second tour I saw the Stones on.
Yeah.
Side note, by the way, the Eagles played MetLife Stadium last night in Jersey.
Oh, wow. Dan, unfortunately, I think you're right. I don't think Don's going back to the Eagles anytime soon.
No, that'll never happen.
Bozique says,
Hey,
what's funny about Malmsteen's son, Ty, is he emulates Richie Blackmore more than he does his dad.
Yeah,
I think it'd be funnier is if he went like full grunge and just played nothing but power chords.
That's pretty interesting. I know that Blackmore is Malmsteen's biggest guitar influence.
Sure.
So that I'd really like to check that out. What is his name, like Antonio or something like that? Antonio something. What's his son's name?
I don't know. But what I would like to know is he humble?
Hey, BV, BV says Tom Bukovac played in Joe Walsh's house band. Ringo was on drums, and it was Ringo's birthday. How about that?
That makes sense.
That's amazing.
Well, they're what? Ringo and Joe are brother-in-laws. In-laws? Because they both married sisters.
I didn't know that. Well, you learn something new every day.
I've got to go check out Ingve's son now. Bozique says his name is Antonio Malmsteen.
Well, yeah, I was going to say the other thing was, Joe Walsh does have quite the sense of humor. And so in interviews, you get to play in the Ringo, the all-star band. He goes, well, I have to. He's my brother-in-law. What are you going to do?
So, speak of Joe Walsh, the other night I'm watching the latest pay-per-view thing that the Eagles did with Vince in it. And you all know how Jay Hannon is a humongous Ibanez fan, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Rocky Mountain Way was the encore, the final encore of the night. Nice. And Joe Walsh pulls out an RG, an Ibanez RG, with a Floyd on it and plays his slide parts on that guitar. So I took a picture of the TV screen and sent it right to Jay, and Jay almost lost his marbles. And then he used a custom shop 59 for the talk box solo.
Nice.
Wow, that's cool.
I played Rocky Mountain Way on my Kramer once at a gig. I was very light on the slide. Very light.
Good slide part. Yeah.
I did not do a slide part. I did a very bastardized version of it. But that was okay because it was like our encore. That's all I knew because I was the only guy in the band that liked to play Rocky Mountain Way. And I knew we had run out of material when the other guys would call it Rocky Mountain Way. I'm like, all right, let's do it.
Special shout out.
Go ahead, Jay.
My mom is here in the chat. She says, love the Eagles.
Yeah. The Eagles were, thinking about my own guitar playing. I mean, how many of us learned an Eagles song, early in the beginning of our guitar playing?
Sure.
I mean, Take It Easy was probably one of the first songs I ever learned.
I learned Hotel California, not correctly, not the way that, the 12-string, but I learned the chords and learned the words. And I mean, one of those songs that I played, when family would come over, or you'd have friends come over for special occasions, and mom and grandma would say, play your guitar for us. That's one of the songs that I learned very early on and played and sang.
I think I learned
So
a
you
bit
picked
about
the hard one first.
because it was in a Guitar
Well,
World
It
tab.
really isn't. I mean, if you play all the cowboy cards, I mean, it's not exactly the way the Eagles play it, but you play it as a cowboy chord thing and sing along with it. Yeah, the vocals, singing it with the chords is hard, but playing the song is not that hard.
I'll still learn Life in a Fast Lane at some point.
Oh yeah, that's an amazing song.
Yeah.
I've done that live a bunch of times.
It's funny.
Yeah, I've played
I was
that.
never a big. I always harken back to that Dennis Leary bit about the Eagles. Like, the best thing ever happened was Joe Walsh. The worst thing is when they fired him. And I was kind of the same way. But musically, like gig wise, I remember covering Don Henley solo songs. Because they were such hits through the '80s.
Mm-hmm.
We covered Dirty Laundry. And I was like, fine, I'll do it. Because I get to play the Joe Walsh guitar solo anyway. So I'm playing Joe Walsh. That's the way I would equate it in my brain. So
I think that Henley record, that Into the Innocence record, is that the name of the record?
Yep.
I think that's one of the most perfect records ever made. I mean, every song on that top to bottom is amazing.
Not only that, but the mixes and the just the sound.
That was a slick album too. Yeah.
Like when you're trying out a new set of speakers or a new stereo system, that's one of the records you put in to listen to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of those handful of albums that was actually ahead of the game in the 80s. I remember saying it was ironic. Somebody showed it was with Prince. Whenever Prince did an album, 2 years later, that's what everybody was doing. That was top 40 pop. It was always 2 years. He was always 2 years ahead. But that End of Innocence, that set the bar, and we had that resurgence of our parents' generation doing, like the Don Henley's, the Steve Winwood solo stuff, and it was this album-oriented contemporary rock that was just next level because they all brought in the best players to make the best product, and it's great stuff.
Yeah, no question. I mean, Kurt, I agree. The History of the Eagles, that documentary is a must. I love it. Whether you're a huge Eagles fan or not, that is a great music doc. Bozique brings up Smuggler's Blues by Glenn Frey. Loved that song.
That was a great track.
Yeah.
And good acting performance. Glenn was quite the actor.
Yep, he was on Miami Vice, I think 1 or 2 episodes, actually.
I think he wrote that song for Miami Vice, and so does Bozique. Yeah.
I was on a hangout the other night for Kate Tony's channel, and that Miami Vice just hit me in the head for some reason. Could have been Tony's sunglasses, not sure. But what other TV show had not one but 2 soundtrack albums that actually had where artists were writing songs for a flipping TV show? What other TV series had that?
I don't know. Is there another one?
I don't think so. Other than compilation albums, here's TV theme songs. No, it was literally songs written for, like Phil Collins.
Also, how many musicians actually acted on a TV show? I think that show had the most musicians on it.
Hands down.
Yeah, Kurt remembers Glenn Frey was in Jerry Maguire. Remember, he was the team owner.
Yep.
I remember that now that Kurt brings it up.
I remember having to look that up because I was like, who? I know that guy. Who's that actor? But it was what you couldn't place who it was. All of a sudden, it's Glenn Frey. Awesome. Yeah, I was just Miami Vice. You had what? Glenn Frey, Phil Collins, Ted Nugent, Gene Simmons, Red Hot Chili Peppers. First exposure for them. They didn't have any lines, but they were a band at a party. I remember that because they were playing Jungle Man. I was like, "Ooh, what's that kind of music?" I'd never heard Red Hot Chili Peppers before. Who else?
Randy's got, when he's trying out a stereo, he's got Fragile, which, golly, what an amazing record that is. And then Amanda chimes in with Chris Squire's Fish Out of Water. Look at your Prague sister, Ben.
Oh, I know. Believe me, Ty, I know she's gone on this route. She's like, this stuff? I'm like, yeah, that's too complex for me. Sorry.
I'm kind of a prog nerd. And I love the fact that Amanda just threw out a great prog record.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's huge.
So I'm of the ilk of the 90215 and the big generator from Yes. I know I love all the old Yes too, but I'm a big Trevor Rabin fan. So I love
My
that
sister
version of
apparently.
Yes.
Big fan of
Yeah,
Trevor
look at
Rabin.
Amanda likes Trevor Rabin's. Tell me she just threw out his solo record, making a recommendation on his solo record. Man, we got to have a prog night one night and get into some prog.
There we go.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm glad to know that there are some other prog nerds that are into this other than myself.
So
she saw Rush live. So there you go.
So just so you guys and girls
look at Peter throwing. That's awesome, y'all. That's awesome.
My sister's like, yes, you do, because she wants to see her brothers look like a moron. Well, more of a moron for a show.
So just so you guys know, after the Brad Gillis guitar that's in the middle of being made now, the following guitar is going to be Trevor Rabin's 65 Strat with all the green paint on it. All the other, the psychedelic paint on it. I'm going to do that guitar.
Hey, Randy, did Animals? One of my, it's probably my favorite Floyd record. Yeah, that's a good one. Somebody brought that up a week or two ago too. Brought up Animals. Hey, listen, I've brought up this before but for any of you guys that are like super into that guitar tone, that Gilmore thing, and God, if you're a player, who isn't? There's a great YouTube channel, Gilmore-ish, that really covers everything Pink Floyd guitar oriented, A to Z. It's really, really good. So if you're into that, check it out.
That makes sense, BV. I can see that in Dean's playing.
Oh yeah, and I know Tom loves Yes, so.
Yeah, I watched that Tone Talk with Dean DeLeo. I guess it was last week, a week before last week. It was a really great episode. Mark and Dave did a great interview with Dean.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dave was on with Pete Thorne on Sunday. That was fun.
Oh yeah, very cool.
Yeah, I mean, I love it when Dave and Pete get together and talk Van Halen.
Oh yeah, well that's the because they get on and they're like us, right? Because they're just friends that shoot the breeze, and we get to listen in,
And the funny thing is, I think they're in the same building, just a couple of rooms away from each other.
Yeah, except on Sunday because Dave was at home when he did it.
So Peter's got a 1990 Eric Clapton Red Strat with the lace sensors. Amazing guitar. I've never owned one. I have played one.
I've owned.
Yeah, I really like those guitars a lot. My favorite was that 7-Up green one.
I've had a couple 7-Up green ones.
Yeah, my favorite. But the Red Strat with, is iconic for Clapton and Gilmore.
It was the first. It was the first Strat that he used after Blackie when Fender said we're going to make you a model. That was the first Strat that he was the red one
before he got the one,
and then it was the pewter one after that.
Yeah, that kind of one.
Kurt says Dean DeLeo is underrated. I will also agree. What I found really interesting, or one of the many things I found interesting in the conversation that Dean had on Tone Talk, was around chord building and how he builds chords. And we've talked about that on this show before, about extensions, chord extensions that you can play that give a different type of tonal character to the playing. And he talked about his use of 9 chords, 11s, 13s, and how he learned a lot of that from jazz and fusion and brought those voicings into a rock context to create this unique voice for not only him, but for Stone Temple Pilots in general. And I think he gave Robert DeLeo credit in the interview, if I'm not mistaken, for the chord voicings in the verses of Interstate Love Song. And for those of you that have tried to learn to play Interstate Love Song, you know that those chords are not your typical rock chords.
No, they are not. Quentin James has gone on many a rant on that. STP, it's all fine until you get some weird chord. Yep. But that's what made them them.
It really did. And I really appreciated how much he actually talked about that from, hey, this is part of the unique character that we brought to this band. Simply the choice that we made in the chords that we chose to put in this, the chord voices themselves. Instead of playing, a 1-5 chord or a 1-3-5 or 1-flat-3-5, we decided to, introduce, the 9 or the 13 or the 11 or the flat 9 or the major 7,
Excuse me.
Oh, BV, that's right. BV knows Bjorn, who runs the Gilmore-ish site, and BV says he has a new album out. I look forward to checking that out.
Cool. Thank you, on the left.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. On the left, I just got this yesterday, so thank you very much.
And
I'll tell you guys about it. I'll tell you all about this guitar later on in the evening.
Charles says, this looks like a recent acquisition. Well, if you call 1991 recent, because that's when I bought this thing. You just haven't seen a lot on my channel, because I'm not a big Strat player. But you gotta have one in the arsenal.
That's a nice Strat.
Definitely.
Very cool.
At some point, I might put the lace sensors in it to make it a full-blown Clapton. We'll see. Hey, Joshua Jones in the house.
Hey, Josh.
Hey, Josh. Good to see you, man.
Yeah, so I lost my
BB,
I was going to just let you hang.
yeah, BB also says that Robert DeLeo is the guitar theory guy in the band and composer.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So here would be my encouragement, and I've said this before on the show, that if you want to begin experimenting with these extensions to your chords, pick one interval and experiment with that one interval. Say it's going to be the 9. So you're going to experiment with 9 chords and experiment with that interval and train your ear to kind of hear that interval inside the chord shape. And for those of us that like a lot of really cool melodic rock guitar solos, players like John Sykes loves a 9 in his solo playing. Adds a 9 into that. Joshua Jones brings up Ted Green, chord master. Don't be intimidated by all of the vernacular that goes around chords. Don't be intimidated by the 9 or the 11 or the 13. All of that begins to make sense when you begin putting that on or pairing that with triads. I would probably start with a 7. So if you're a 1-3-5 guy or a 1-flat-3-5 guy, begin experimenting with the 7 first, and then move to a 9, and then move to a 13, and then move to an 11. That's where I'd start in that
Major
order.
chords and minor chords, Ty?
What's that?
I know majors and minors. I don't know what 9s and 11s and.
Well, here's a 9.
Well, an interval, it's all about the interval. So in A, the 9 would be a B. So
Wouldn't that be a 2?
Yeah, but you're going to put it above the 7. So 7 plus 2 is.
Oh, I gotcha.
You see what I'm saying? So this stuff doesn't have to be
So
really
basically, you're playing it just an octave higher.
correct, and it doesn't have to be.
See that I understand numbers and cages and play it an octave higher, Ben. Done.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm telling you, this stuff, once you start really taking a deep dive into this, it's not nearly as complicated as it sounds.
Real quick, BV, just no, I have not contacted him yet. I would like to talk to you one more time before I make that before I throw him that message and see if you're into doing something. So stick around. I'll probably text you tomorrow sometime. Oop.
I was like, I was wiping my keyboard off. What did I do? That's usually when Dave wipes his keyboard that we lose somebody.
Ty is gone.
Wow, that was impressive. I get it, Randy Crooks. I didn't know that either. I didn't know a 9 is just one chord higher and an octave up. That's yeah. I don't under. So an 8's an octave. All right.
Oh yeah.
See, I don't know that. It's like literally.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Ty just says he just lost his internet.
Yep. Just lost his internet.
Well, we'll see how he goes.
Okay.
All right. I have another photo from Mr. Randy Crooks of his hammer. Double cut hammer. Come on, be nice. Gonna focus for there it is. Somebody else is messaging me. Oh, that's Dave. I'm showing off photos, Dave. If you want to be that guy,
I'm so sorry. Someone needs to let Ty know that we are okay with.
Hey, there's the one and only, the man, the superhero, the metalhead, co-host of Metal Wednesdays, Boner Jams.
The Boner. The Bone Man.
I caught some of his show last night.
Boney Maroney Jams.
He and Mr. Jay Hannon was quite good. Quite enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, I enjoyed it to the point where I had to leave and play some guitar.
Oh, very cool. Well, on behalf of Ty Price, we're sorry he did lose his internet. He's going to try to come back.
Yep. I was like, how did you get a ding? Terry just messaged me. Nice. Well, while since Ty's not here, it's okay. He uses virtual effects. He likes to go direct into amps and stuff. Let's talk about this new chorus pedal that
please, yes.
My good friend Lawrence of the Pedals at lpdpedals.com released.
Let me get you right there doing that.
The title chorus, a 4-knobber.
I love the way the pedals look.
Yeah. Very clean, very slick. Funny you mention that, Dave, because I took this over to my best friend Richie's place last week, and he's an industrial paint inspector by trade, and he spent 5 minutes just looking at this thing, going, "I can't believe the finish. This is so flawless. Like, wow. Like, really let Lawrence know." I was like, "I will." And this thing, very wide range of sounds on it. You obviously you can do some of the rotary stuff, but some of the things I like is you can put the speed right down to 0, and then your depth ends up being like a comb filter, and you can just go through different frequencies, or just give it just a goose on the speed, and you get that Gilmore-esque pulse, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which I believe he did with a Mistress back in the day. Yeah. Very versatile, and tone, which is nice. It works as a bit of a filter as well. I can't remember the technical specs that Lawrence mentioned to me about it, because me and tech, that just right over the head. But yeah, level, speed, depth, and a tone. So a lot of varieties, folks. Just actual release to the public today.
Well, look at that box, first of all. That box is top-notch. The knobs themselves, those are expensive knobs. And the input and output jacks they're not connected to the PC board inside. Those are actual jacks that wires get soldered to, which are top notch. That's the way an expensive pedal is supposed to be.
Yep. And not that you're a drinker, Dave, but all Lawrence's pedals are beer proof. So if you're playing a gig and that guy, Come on, play Hotel California, and he just pours his beer all over your pedal board.
Well, I'll tell you a quick story. I was doing a bar gig. This is many years ago. And you know, you all know that I usually have a very elaborate pedal board that I use. So the bar was pretty packed. And it's a local place here in town. And we're doing a song. I can't remember what song it is, of course, but this drunk guy comes up, trips over my monitor, my car monitor, and drops his beer and his body right onto my pedal board, the whole thing. I freaked out. I lost my mind. And I believe my buddy Joe Vicino, who is an alumni from this show, picked him up and dragged his ass out of the place. I don't know what happened to him ever after that, but yeah, that was the last time. We saw him. It's pretty crazy. But nothing.
Lawrence just texted me right now.
I'm sorry?
Lawrence just texted me right now. So I'm just on. Hey, I'm talking up your pedal on Nez Says.
Yes, and please tell him, give him my best. I want one. I got to get one. I love his pedals.
Done and done. Wow.
Yeah, I'm a big chorus guy. I love chorus. I mean, I have a Boss Dimension C on my board at the moment, which is kind of chorus. Not really, because you really can't do any, it's just programmed, whatever's programmed into the pedal.
Well, the scary thing with this thing was, like, I'm a huge Boss CE2 guy. And the first time I plugged this in, Dave, this is the first time with the Lawrence pedal, I kind of went meh for a minute because I was hoping for, a CE2 clone, but with extra options. But then the more I played with it, I went, holy crap, no, this is its own beast. And I've played, I don't know, half a dozen different choruses this year alone, and I haven't really heard another chorus like this one. It's
right.
Very smooth, very lush. It doesn't have that grit that the Boss stuff has, which I kind of like the Dimension has. That very slight, just a slight grittiness to it. And this thing, though, I was like, yep, that's definitely going on the board. And apparently, I may have another LPD pedal on the way.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Something that are you allowed to talk about? Take care, Peter.
I am. It's his limited edition reverb pedal, which is a plate reverb in a box.
Okay.
And limited run. I've been saving up my super chats for one, but it looks like possibly an anonymous subscriber purchased one for me, which is, I'm blown away by that. I've never had a Lawrence pedal bought for me, other than the ones that Lawrence has sent me in the past on occasion. So I was just like, holy crap, okay. But unfortunately, he accidentally put the wrong pedal in the wrong box for the first time in 10 years of being in business, which is a pretty good average. So he goes, would you kindly, I'm like, oh, dude, the least I can do is forward it.
Send it back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. So I guess if there are no more questions or anything else you want to say about that pedal, first of all,
check out the demo on my channel for it.
Yes, please.
And check out RJ Ronquillo's demo too, because it's nothing like mine, and not just because it's better. I know Terry, but he plays it, and you'd swear it was two different demos of two different pedals.
Well, that's a good thing. That just shows that pedal is really, really versatile.
Yeah.
And it depends on the player how it sounds.
Right.
That's a good thing.
See you, Peter, by the way, in case he's still lurking at the end here.
Yep. Very cool. So, shall we talk about this Telecaster?
We shall, Dave. We shall. Let's look at this.
So,
to be honest, Dave called me the other day about this, and he says, guess what I got? I'm like, I can only imagine, David. I can only imagine. And you described this beauty on the phone, and I went, I forgot I wanted one of those in my life. Thanks for that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'll send it to you when I'm done with it. So I'm not going to tell you the way I are the reasons behind why I got this guitar. But the fact is, I've always wanted a double bound early 60s Sunburst Telecaster. If any of you know Billy Squire and the Don't Say No record, he's sitting on the ground with this exact guitar, except his is probably a real 59 or a real 60. Of course, he only has vintage guitars. But it was the first time, and of course, Andy Summers playing one of these with a humbucker in it, of course.
Right.
But I've always loved this look, this tuxedo look, and Sunburst, and a rosewood fretboard. Now, I have a 53 Tele here, a real one, but I did not want to get a custom shop or a vintage second Telecaster with a rosewood fretboard, because this guitar is not an everyday guitar for me, but I mean, it could be. But I mean, it's not something that I'm normally a humbucker guy, like a Gibson guy.
Sure.
So I figured, well, let me look at the Fender USA guitars, and I came across this. This is called an American Original 1960s Telecaster Custom. Now, I've owned a couple of the American Original model Stratocasters in the past and thought they were great guitars. So I was like, okay, it's the right price range for me. The guitar was in Ohio, Cincinnati, Ohio, at a place called Mike's Music. Saw the guitar on Reverb, called the store, and they made me a beautiful deal on the guitar with the hard case and all the case candy and everything. It was a shop-worn guitar, so it's got scratches in it. It's a new guitar, but it's been played. So I got a great deal on it. I don't have to worry about the first scratch. It's kind of on its way to being relicked. I got a couple of cool things for it. I got a set of compensated steel saddles for it.
Nice.
I've got coming tomorrow, a set of really heavy-duty knurled knobs for it, because I like the feel of heavy knurl. And I don't really, it's kind of on its way to relic, and it's supposed to be between 60 and 64. So you would normally see like a greenish gray pickguard instead of a white, a pale white pickguard. So I have a greenish gray, more gray than green pickguard coming for it. So it'll look more period correct. The guitar sounds incredible. It's a great Telecaster sound. It is not heavy. The neck is what you would expect for an early to mid 60s, kind of shallow in the cowboy chords. It gets a little bit larger as you go up from front to back. This is a laminated board. It's not a slab board, because it's more like I guess like a 64. I can't say enough good things about this guitar. It's wonderful. Sounds. Now, granted, I do have a tremolo pedal on, but it's just it
sounds like a Tele.
It's one of those guitars that rings forever. You strum a chord, the body vibrates for a long time.
Nice.
It's a great guitar, and I'm glad I got it.
And you didn't previously have a rosewood fretboard Tele, did you?
No, I haven't had one in, I want to say, about 6 or 7 years. Okay. I had a Lake Placid blue 63 custom shop.
Ooh, nice.
With a rosewood fretboard, and I did a few songs at Cove City Sound Studios, where that was the only guitar I had brought with me, and I played a few songs on someone's record with that guitar. It was a nice sounding guitar. Was it my favorite? There was something about it that just didn't grab me for me to keep it. Good sounding. It was on the heavy side. I'm not crazy about Lake Placid blue, but it was, I wanted a rosewood board Telecaster, so I had gotten that. But yeah, this is it. This is going to stay in the this is the new mule in the stable, and it's going to stay in.
Kurt 5150 says, I really want a telly. I like the crate wood ones. Yes, you need one, Kurt. Everyone needs a telly. Charles says, once you get a telly, there's no going back.
Yeah,
I 45
agree.
still trying to get his broadcaster.
You can definitely a Telecaster fits anywhere in a mix on any song, any genre of music.
Yep.
Just you can put a Telecaster in anywhere and it fits perfectly.
Yep. That's true.
Rock, country, blues, R&B, soul, funk, jazz.
Sure.
You can play this guitar with any style of music, even heavy metal.
Yep. You can wear them high, wear them low.
Oh, yeah. And, I mean, talk about the Rolling Stones. This guitar made the Rolling Stones.
Mm-hmm.
This guitar is what the Rolling Stones are all about.
Yeah, prior to having one of those in the band, they were playing their guitars up here, wearing suits and ties. Then a telly entered the mix, and Keith's hair went.
I don't think Keith Richards could play this guitar any lower on his body without it hitting the ground.
Yeah, I know. Hey, Paul.
Hey, Paul Fuchs.
Dan in Jersey says, love my telly. See Avatar. Right?
Oh, yeah. Sure. Randy Crook says he had 2 tellys.
Yeah.
So you can finish that off.
Well, no, Bruce, you don't only need one. Just at least one.
Now, Bruce, you know.
I currently have 4.
One telly is not enough. One telly is not enough. For me, maybe for you. You know, some people just don't like the telly shape. They can't get along without the belly cut or the elbow cut. You know, it's kind of an acquired taste, but if you become acquired to it, you fall in love with them. I love tellies.
I've got tellies with singles. I've got tellies with active singles. I got a telly with humbuckers. I got a telly with P90s.
Yeah.
And I didn't sue Fender when they brought out the Noventa telly, although I could have. It's been up on the website for years, folks. People have known about it.
Sure. So that's the Telecaster.
The Ventera Tele Deluxe that I ordered during your last show. Nice. Very cool. Good luck with that. Yeah, those Venteras are nice because that Ventera line is about the nicest thing you can get built outside of the US because their price point is right below the American Performer series. So that's, I think, about as close to custom shop as you get out of Mexico, which we know they do have some form because of the Frankie guitar. They have to have some form of custom shop now in Mexico.
Yeah, because they're painting.
They've been building guitars there for what, 25 years now? 30 years almost?
Maybe more.
Yeah.
Paul Fuchs says he needs 20 tellies.
Who are we to judge and say no to that?
Well, there is one Telecaster, you guys and girls, that I have that you guys and girls have not seen because it's sitting in a closet in my dad's house back in North Carolina. It's a Carbonita telly. It's got two Filtertron Gretsch pickups in it.
Right.
And I love that guitar. I don't think I'll ever see it again, but I love it.
You know where it is. That's the big thing.
Yeah. Bozique, I beg to differ with you. This is not the ugliest guitar ever. The ugliest guitar ever is the Stramberg.
Gibson Modern, perhaps, just based on headstock alone.
Or a Parker Fly. Ugliest guitar ever.
That's up there. Yep. There's a few in the 80s.
Paul says the on his list. Yeah.
Same here.
Great guitar, great sound.
Nothing else sounds like it. It's like a Gretsch, but spankier.
Oh, yeah. Bruce says, I have 4 50th anniversary American Standard, 72 thin line, a P90, and a parts caster with Texas Specials. a third Duncan SL59 in the middle, and a Bixby B5, and a B6 American Strat neck. Oh, an 86 American Strat neck. Very cool.
That is cool. That's a Nashville telly with a Bixby before. Well, yeah. It's full on.
Very cool.
I dig it. Always like talking tellies. Terry says he needs to do a telly deluxe of P90s, possibly my signature P90s, Terry, which I'm still working on the design. Might revamp them a bit.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yep. Gibson reverse flying V. That's a good nod there, Kurt. I'll give you that one. That was an abomination. Let's just call that what it is. Sort of like, didn't they do a reverse Explorer too?
I haven't seen a reverse Explorer.
I thought somebody did a reverse Explorer.
And you know what? Is that reverse flying V a real thing, or is that a Photoshop thing?
No, I've seen them. Guitar Samurai has one.
No kidding.
Yep.
Huh.
Ooh, good question. What tuners does that guitar have?
This has the Kluson split post normal vintage tuners on it. Yeah, that's my favorite tuner, the split post. Let's get a good.
Very nice.
Yeah, they're easy. They're the easiest tuners, and they also prevent your fingers from getting stuck with strings.
I think half mine have the vintage style tuners on them, so it's always. And once I started stringing them the right way, it just makes sense. You might as well. It takes like an extra minute or two on a restring, and you don't have little stubs sticking out. And
Yeah,
it looks clean. It looks so clean.
it certainly does. I think it's really funny when a guy or girl has these tuners on their guitar and they stick the stub through the strings and like tie it off. It's like, don't you realize there's a hole in between there to put the string in? Come on.
I did a rant. I remember I pulled, I don't know if it was a telly or a Strat, but it had the vintage tuners off the shelf. I was doing a demo in store, and they not only was it not strung the correct way with the string down, like they had like a ½ inch of extra hanging. Like it was really poor clip job. And
Yeah.
I'm like, and so I, halfway through the demo, I just stopped and I did this rant. I'm like, really, Fender? Of all people that should know how to string a guitar properly, it's you guys. If you don't know, I have several videos on my channel explaining step by step how to string a guitar with vintage tuners.
Mm.
Please watch that video. And people commented like, how dare you, Fender will never work with you again. I'm like, Fender doesn't work with me now. And if me calling out their ineptitude causes them to not work, I don't want to work with them. I'll gladly buy their products on my own and say whatever I want.
Right. Absolutely. Thank you, Kurt. Yeah, I think it's a great find too.
Yep.
Very cool.
The tuner quality on the Mexican Fenders have improved too. Yes, they have, Paul. Very smooth. I heard rumor that Fender's long-term idea was there will be no more production USA. It'll be strictly custom shop if you want an American Fender guitar. And all production will be moved basically to Mexico, which makes sense because the stuff's built just as well as the US stuff. Just, the only time is when they cheap out is when they choose to cheap out with cheaper hardware or materials. But the build quality, I love my Mexican telly. I don't know how countless gigs. It's my number one.
Well, I mean, it's a workhorse.
Yeah.
Mexican Fender guitars are not just for intermediate players.
No.
They're good workhorse guitars for people that don't want to take expensive guitars out to a bar.
Yep.
They are great. I mean, you can do a record with a Mexican Strat or telly. You can do anything, and it sounds great. It's going to sound like a good Strat.
Mm-hmm.
The only place that you lack with a Mexican-made guitar is resale value. That's it. If you want a real good guitar and don't ever care about selling it, or you want to modify it in some way without hurting its resale value, or get a Mexican-made Strat.
Sure.
They are great guitars. They're all very consistent. They very rarely have neck problems. The pickups usually sound good. They stay moderately in tune. There are good guitars.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And it's not like where a lot of overseas stuff that's being built, it's outsourced to a third party. Fender set up their Mexican manufacturing. Like it's still in-house. So.
And these days, they're expensive. I mean, made in Mexico Strat is like $899 now. They're $900.
Yep.
When I first started, when I worked at Manny's Music or when I worked at Guitar Center, those guitars were $300.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, they have come out with better versions of that guitar as well. It's not your regular standard Strat. They have new names for them, and woods and everything is a little bit better on them these days. Yep. But they are $900+, and you don't get a case.
No.
So I mean,
I don't even think you get a case with the professionals anymore.
No.
Which is sad. Like, come on, you got to buy. I don't know. It's like buying a car without hubcaps. Which
I think any guitar with $1,000 price point should come with a case. At least a gig bag. At least a gig bag.
Yeah, like a good gig bag, and we're not talking that.
Not the $20 gig bag, like a $50 or $60 gig bag.
Yeah, a professional gig bag.
Yeah.
I agree on that. Yeah, because if you're building a guitar, you say, hey, you can gig with this. Well, hey, show me how to get it to the gig, because that should be all part of it.
Yeah, how do I get it there? Exactly.
Yep.
Bozique says, they were poor quality back in 1999 when I started playing, Dave. Epiphones were better. Today, a Mexi Strat is a professional quality guitar, like you said, worth $850+ in his humble opinion. Yes. And they're great guitars. If I had to play with one, I wouldn't have a problem with it. If I had to do one for a gig. Now, me personally, I have champagne taste, so I like the more expensive stuff. Mm-hmm. And most of my stuff here is the more expensive stuff. But if you put one of those in my hands and said, go play a gig with this, I'd have no problem.
Sure.
None at all.
That's possible, Paul. I'm not sure on that. But then, actually, that would make sense, because I remember talking to a guy at the Gibson party who worked for Epiphone, and he spends like 3 months of the year in China at their Epiphone plant. So it makes sense.
Yeah. So, guys, we're going to stay on for just a couple minutes more. I have a thing that I have to take care of, so we're not going to stay on until 10 o'clock tonight. But and we will get back to you sometime this week to let you know if we are on next week.
Yes.
But stick around and watch for whatever.
Just make sure that bell's rung down there.
Yeah.
Set the all.
Please do.
Mm-hmm. Epiphones are better nowadays too. I agree, Bozique.
Yes.
Yeah,
everything is better nowadays.
As far as I'm concerned.
Everything is better nowadays than it was back in, the mid to late 90s.
Isn't it sad, Dave? Like you in $2021, $500 in $2021 gets you more than what $500 got you 30 years ago.
I agree.
And $500 went a hell of a lot longer 30 years ago.
Look, when I started playing in 1975. No, scratch that. When I started playing, I had a Les Paul Jr., like a late 50s. I didn't know what it was back then. But my very next guitar, I wanted a Strat-shaped body, and we had a music store in the local mall here called Matthews Music. Now, I didn't know from name brands. I didn't know from Fender, Gibson, Hondo, Memphis. I didn't know from that. I was young. I just thought a guitar was a guitar was a guitar. I wanted that shape, that color. So my guitar was a Hondo.
Mm-hmm.
Now, back then, that guitar was $299, $300. It's a made in Japan guitar. It's an off brand. Was not great. $299. Think of it, $299. Today, a guitar that's $299 is an incredible guitar next to what that was back then. You know, you get a guitar with a real Fender headstock on it. You get a guitar with a 5-way switch, good pickups, you know, a solid body guitar. The guitar that I had was laminated, was plywood.
Right.
It was plywood. A guitar you get now for that money is basswood, which is solid wood. It's great. It's not, you know, it's probably the softest of the woods, but it is solid wood. You get a lot of stuff for your money nowadays.
Nice. I wanted to do a plug this Sunday on my channel, and thanks Bruce and Peter for joining in. We love having your names in the chats.
Absolutely. Please come back again.
I got my buddy Simon Hosford coming on this Sunday. Simon's out of Melbourne, Australia, and he's played with artists Men at Work, the Dead Daisies, Tommy Emmanuel, the Little River Band, and a 3-month support deal with Tina Turner, amongst other gigs.
That's amazing.
We're going to be talking gear and touring and stuff like that this Sunday.
I'm a huge Men at Work fan. I love Men at Work.
Me too. Yeah, I think he played with them for about 5 years, 6 years, something like that. Toured the world with them.
Wow.
And may have played with Colin Hay separately as well, too.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right, guys and girls. I think we're going to split. Thank you for coming. Thank you for checking us out every week and hanging out with us and talking with us. Ben, thank you so much. It's always a lot of fun.
Always a pleasure, Dave.
Ty, you know, I know you're not here, but thank you as always.
Yes.
We'll get Ty squared away. Thomas, thank you so much for the super chat.
Appreciate it, Thomas.
Yeah. So we will stick around and listen or watch for whether we're on next week or not. And we will see you all very soon. Ben, you got something to say?
Cheers, rock on. Happy tone chasing. Be good to each other. Please like and subscribe. Laz, catch the replay. Cheers, folks.